Picture this, East London, the 1980s, the Ford Cortina, our trusty family chariot, cruising down the A13. Destination, who knows, probably some distant relative's house for a Sunday roast. But the real highlight, catching a glimpse of the Beckton Alps. Yeah, you heard right, the Beckton Alps. This wasn't some mirage shimmering above the Thames. It was a dry ski slope, rising out of the industrial flats like a misplaced mountain. I'm talking tiny figures zipping down, defying gravity and East London logic. Now, I was no skier. Skiing was for those posh kids at school, the ones who holidayed in Switzerland and wore Kappa ski jackets like they owned the slopes. But the Beckton Alps, that was different. It was exotic yet strangely familiar, a surreal landmark in a landscape that already felt pretty surreal. Fast forward to today, and the ski slopes long gone. But the Beckton Alps, they remain, a grassy bump on Google Earth, a ghostly echo on street signs, and in my mind, of course, frozen in time like a VHS tape of Grange Hill. Fast forward a few decades, and I'm back, riding the DLR to Beckton, past architectural wonders that would make Prince Charles weep. This time, I wasn't just observing the Alps from afar. Oh no, this time I was on a mission to scale those metaphorical heights and confront my childhood memories, except things weren't quite as I remembered. The closer I got, the more the Alps seemed to disappear behind a curtain of trees and 8-foot-high fences. Danger, hazardous sight, keep out, the signs screamed. Turns out those weren't mountains after all. They were a slag heap, the toxic legacy of the Beckton Gasworks. The Beckton Alps, as it turns out, weren't built, they were heaped, a monument to Victorian industry and its appetite for coal. For a century, the Beckton Gasworks churned out gas, fueling the lamps and lives of Londoners. Imagine, if you will, 1868, the Gaslight and Coke Company, those titans of illumination, needed space and lots of it. They found it in Beckton, a sprawling patch of Essex marsh that, even by Victorian standards, was pretty grim. But hey, beggars can't be choosers, right? Especially when you're in the business of turning coal into gas. So up went the gasometers, those giant iron lungs of the city, along with a network of railways, retorts, and enough pipes to make a plumber weep with envy. By 1878, Beckton was a hive of activity. The Illustrated London News, never one to miss an opportunity for purple prose, described it as a remarkable creation of industrial enterprise, although they did concede that it was a tad lonely. Lonely, perhaps, but certainly not quiet. The clanging of machinery, the hiss of steam, the shouts of workers. This was the soundtrack to Beckton's existence. And let's not forget the smell. Coal gas, let me tell you, doesn't exactly have the sweet aroma of roses, but the Beckton Gasworks wasn't just about gas. Oh no, this was a veritable factory of byproducts, thanks to the tar and liquor works. From the inky depths of coal tar, they conjured up road tar, fertilizers, even printer's ink. They even managed to squeeze out enough Prussian blue to satisfy even the most demanding artist. Life at the gasworks. Working at the Beckton Gasworks? Not exactly a walk in the park. Imagine shoveling coal into roaring furnaces, the heat sapping your strength, the dust clogging your lungs. Not to mention the ever-present risk of explosions, fires, and general industrial mayhem. It's no surprise that the workers at Beckton weren't exactly a bunch of happy campers. In 1872, they went on strike, plunging London into darkness and giving the Gaslight and Coke Company a serious case of the jitters. The strike, though disruptive, did have a silver lining. It led to changes in law that decriminalized trade unions, a small victory for the working man in the face of industrial might. But even industrial giants eventually meet their match. For the Beckton Gasworks, it was the discovery of North Sea oil and gas in the 1960s. Suddenly, coal wasn't looking quite so appealing. Production dwindled, the machinery fell silent, and the once mighty gasworks began its slow descent into industrial obsolescence. By the 1970s, Beckton was a ghost town, its buildings decaying, its machinery rusting, its future uncertain. But even in death, the Beckton Gasworks had one last surprise up its sleeve. Those mountains of waste, those toxic slag heaps, they would find a new lease on life, transformed from industrial blight into something altogether more unexpected. So there we were, Beckton in the 1970s, staring at a mountain range made of industrial leftovers. Not exactly the stuff of postcards, right? But someone, somewhere had a brainwave. The kind that probably involved a pub, a pint, and a what if. What if? Instead of burying this toxic mess, we embraced it. What if we turned this industrial eyesore into a recreational dream? And so the idea for the Beckton Alps ski slope was born. Now, I'm not talking about some half-hearted attempt at a grassy knoll. This was the real deal, a floodlit, plastic-bristled beast of a slope, rising out of the East End like a giant triangular middle finger to the gods of good taste and common sense. The Beckton Alps are alive with the sound of skiing, and people loved it, can you imagine? Swapping the grey streets of East London for the thrill of the slopes, all without having to leave Zone 3. It was absurd, it was brilliant, it was so very Beckton. The official opening in 1988 was quite the event. Princess Diana, bless her cotton socks, even graced the occasion with her presence. I bet she never thought she'd be opening a ski slope built on a toxic waste dump in East London. Suddenly, Beckton was the place to be seen, at least if you were a budding skier or snowboarder with a penchant for the absurd. The air buzzed with the whir of the ski lift, the thud of novices hitting the plastic, and the soothing sounds of Club Tropicana blaring from the chalet-style cafe. Back to my present-day adventure. So, I'm huffing and puffing my way up this overgrown path, the A13 roaring like a mechanical beast in the distance. The air smells faintly of wild garlic and something less pleasant that I couldn't quite place. Through the trees, I catch glimpses of broken fences, tattered signs, the ghosts of skiers past. It's like stumbling upon the ruins of some long-lost civilization, except instead of crumbling temples, you've got half-buried shopping trolleys and the occasional discarded traffic cone. And then I see it, the summit, or at least what's left of it, a wind-swept plateau crowned with graffiti-covered pillars, a monument to forgotten dreams and the relentless march of time and fly tipping. Getting to the top, easier said than done, my friend. The summit beckoned, a tantalizing glimpse of urban wilderness through the chain-link bars. But those bars, oh, they were not messing around. 8 feet high, topped with enough barbed wire to make a prison warden blush. And the signs? Don't even get me started on the signs. Danger, hazardous sight, keep out, they screamed in bold red letters, as if I hadn't already gotten the memo. Apparently, decades-old industrial waste doesn't exactly make for a welcoming picnic spot. But like any self-respecting urban explorer, or, a middle-aged bloke with too much time on his hands, I was determined to find a way in. I skirted the perimeter, following the contours of the fence. My eyes peeled for a weak spot, a gap, a moment of municipal negligence. And then, just when my hope was starting to dwindle faster than a snowman in a heatwave, I found it. A break in the fence hidden behind a tangle of brambles and buddleia. It wasn't exactly the grand entrance I'd envisioned, but hey, beggars can't be choosers, right? I ducked under the barbed wire, feeling a surge of that forbidden fruit excitement that only comes from trespassing on municipal property. And there I was, standing on the slopes of the Beckton Alps, surrounded by the ghosts of skiers past. The plastic bristles were long gone, of course, replaced by a carpet of weeds and wildflowers. But I could still make out the contours of the slope, the gentle incline that once sent thrill-seekers hurtling towards the bottom. As I made my way up the slope, following the desire lines worn into the grass by fellow trespassers, I couldn't help but feel a sense of melancholy. This strange, unlikely landmark, this monument to both industrial ambition and recreational absurdity, was fading into obscurity. But even in its decay, there was a certain beauty to be found. The views from the top were surprisingly impressive. A panorama of East London stretching out before me. The Canary Wharf skyscrapers glinted in the distance, a testament to the ever-changing face of the city. And as I stood there, the wind whistling through the trees, I realized that the Beckton Alps were more than just a pile of old slag. They were a reminder of a time when East London dared to dream, when even the most unlikely of transformations seemed possible. So what's next for the Beckton Alps? Your guess is as good as mine, my friend. For now, they remain in limbo, a patch of contested ground caught between the twin forces of urban development and ecological regeneration. Will they be bulldozed, erased from the map to make way for yet another retail park or luxury apartment complex? Or will they be reclaimed by nature, transformed into a wild urban oasis in the heart of the city? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure. The Beckton Alps, those unlikely mountains of the East End, will continue to hold a special place in the collective memory of Londoners. A reminder that even in this city of constant change and relentless progress, sometimes the most unexpected of things can leave their mark. The Beckton Alps, once a beacon of artificial ski joy, now facing a future as uncertain as a beginner on a black diamond run. The early 2000s were not kind to our plastic-bristled friend. The crowds thinned, the lift creaked to a halt, and the soothing sounds of Club Tropicana were replaced by the gentle whisper of wind through derelict buildings. What went wrong? Well, for starters, real snow became a thing you could actually find in indoor ski centres across the land. And turns out people quite liked the novelty of skiing in sub-zero temperatures without a side order of toxic fumes. Who knew? There were plans, of course. Grand designs for a snow-covered indoor arena, complete with restaurants, shops, the whole 9 yards. They even roped in the optimistically named London Snowdome, limited to oversee this winter Wonderland 2.0. But alas, it was not meant to be. The Snowdome dream melted away faster than a fab lolly in a heat wave. The official line? Escalating costs, contamination concerns, the usual suspects. Rumours swirled, of course, about dodgy dealings, planning permission nightmares, and the possibility that the entire site was slowly sinking into the Thames. So the Beckton Alps were left to their own devices, and nature, being the opportunistic sort, began to move in. Trees sprouted from cracks in the tarmac, foxes set up shop in abandoned ski boots, and the occasional urban explorer, like yours truly, came to pay their respects. It wasn't exactly pristine wilderness, mind you, more like a post-industrial version of Gardener's World with a healthy dose of fly tipping thrown in for good measure. But hey, who are we to judge? Nature works in mysterious and often slightly depressing ways. And that, my friends, brings us to the present day. The Beckton Alps, once a symbol of industrial might, then a fleeting monument to artificial ski fun, now stand as a testament to, well, to be honest, I'm not entirely sure what. They're a curiosity, a reminder that even in a city as constantly evolving as London, some things defy easy categorization. They're a blank canvas onto which we can project our own memories, anxieties, and perhaps a touch of nostalgia for a time when skiing in East London didn't require a passport and a small mortgage. So, the next time you find yourself cruising down the A13, spare a thought for the Beckton Alps. They may not be the most glamorous or picturesque of landmarks, but they're a uniquely East London story, a tale of industry, ambition, and the enduring power of a good what if. Standing there, amidst the buddleia and broken fences, the ghosts of the Beckton Alps seemed to swirl around me. I could almost hear the echoes of laughter, the shrieks of delight, the thudding bass lines of wham blasting from the chalet-style cafe. It's easy to romanticize the past, to view it through rose-tinted ski goggles, but there's no denying the strange magic that the Beckton Alps held. For a brief, shining moment, they transformed a toxic wasteland into a playground of unlikely possibilities. They were a testament to human ingenuity, our ability to take something unwanted, unloved, and turn it into something, well, if not exactly beautiful, then at least memorable. The Beckton Alps were a middle finger to conformity, a celebration of the absurd, a reminder that not everything in life needs to make sense. The Beckton Alps may be gone, their plastic slopes reclaimed by nature, but their spirit lives on. In the collective memory of East Londoners, in the graffiti-covered pillars that stand like weathered sentinels, and in the very idea that sometimes the most unexpected of places can capture our imaginations. So here's to the Beckton Alps, a toxic wasteland turned ski haven, a monument to both industrial ambition and recreational absurdity. You were an unlikely landmark, a fleeting dream, A reminder that even in a city as constantly changing as London, some things are too strange to be forgotten. Next time you're stuck in traffic on the A13, take a moment to look out for the gentle rise of the Beckton Alps. You might not see much, just a grassy knoll swallowed by trees and time, but look closer, listen carefully, and you might just hear the faint echo of laughter, the ghostly strains of Club Tropicana, a whisper of what once was and could have been.